Hey guys, welcome back to episode 22 of the weekly scrubbedin podcast. Today's topic of discussion is procrastination and what you can do to help you stop procrastinating and becoming more efficient and actually getting your work done. So to start off, what is procrastination?
What is it?
What is procrastination?
It's just when you just put off your tasks that you're supposed to do, that you're supposed to complete, and you're just sort of going off here and there, watching videos or YouTubing, going onto your phone, anything that takes you away from your task, isn't it?
Fine. Yeah. So the reason I asked that question is basically procrastination is obviously doing something else when you're supposed to be doing something probably more important than a task at hand. But there are different types of procrastination. So that's what I want to talk about.
So you got to ask me that to show off your knowledge.
So there's different types of procrastination. So the first one is the plenty of time procrastinator, which is me. So there are individuals who, let's say, have an essay due, they think, which is due in a week. So they feel that,
That's
do you know what?
Of time.
I've got loads of time. I'm not going to get started, and I need a lot of pressure to work. And they will do it like the night before or a few hours before deadline. So that's that whole plenty of time. So you keep delaying it up until the last moment. Then there is anxious procrastinators. So there are people where they are kind of overwhelmed by the tasks at hand and they can never get themselves to get started. And it kind of self-perpetuating. So they give themselves a cycle, and I haven't started it all my days, I'm not going to finish it. And they're worried and they're overthinking and they never get around to doing it. Then there are the fun procrastinators, which is also me. So these are people, they would rather do something more fun, more engaging than sit down and do that essay or sit down and revise. And the last one is the perfectionist. So the perfectionism, the procrastinator is someone who basically, they never get around to starting because they never think they're good enough. They never think the work they're going to do is of the right standard, and they're just overthinking, over planning, but not really actually doing anything, all in this quest to become perfect, like a perfect piece of work, and that delays the procrastination. So those are the four main types of procrastinators. And before we start, I just want to mention everyone procrastinates. So I don't want you to feel that, oh my days, I'm the only procrastinator, everyone around me is doing really well and they're so efficient. And I know people, they put up stories on Instagram of 5 o'clock in the morning in the revising. I'm telling you, everyone procrastinates.
At some point and in some way.
In some point or some way. And even if they feel they're not procrastinating, they are procrastinating. It's human nature, it's the way we're built. Fine, so let's get into it.
So before we get into it, I think the main thing we're talking about today is how to increase your productivity rather than technically how to stop procrastinating. Everyone, like you said, everyone procrastinates, everyone will do it, it's nature, but how do you increase productivity?
I agree. Fine. So what do you want to start off with?
I'll start off with the first thing I do, which is in fact the night before. What I like to do is actually pre-plan. I like to know what I'm doing with my time going ahead, right? I like to make a day plan, which is in detail, and a week plan, which is more vague. So week plan would be just simple goals I need to have reached, and day plan would be actually task based. So what I'll do is, before I go to bed, I'll make a list with a check box, basically, that I get the enjoyment of ticking off once I've done, of everything I want to achieve. And it won't be just work-based things. It'll be things like, even if it's go to the gym, or even if it's to call the council or something for something, it will all be tasks that I need to do, and I'll checklist it all so I know what I'm doing with my day. So yeah, that's my first thing
I agree.
I do to increase productivity.
It's the same thing I do. I have checklists, people call it different things, to-do list, but essentially piece of paper on your phone, however, a list of all the tasks that need to be completed. And for some people it's by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month, by the year. Regardless, time scale is up to you, but having a checklist or to-do list of all the tasks that need to be done is the first step. Writing things down on paper is the first step per se. How do you organize that checklist? I guess is the second question.
So I recently came across this concept of the 2-minute task. The 2-minute task, right? So this is the concept that if you had tasks that takes 2 minutes to do, in and around 2 minutes, do that first. Right, that included simple emails, simple tasks, any simple tasks that you have, rather than big, large, chunky tasks. For example, if I had to make sure that I contacted the NHS director for something, send an email to my supervisor, ensure I sent off a CBD logbook thing to be signed off by my consultant, all of that I would do first, because they're 2 minute tasks and they're a bunch of tasks out the way. So I push them out the way, and then say I have a paper to write. That's my big task that I leave, not to the end, because that's too tiring, but after I finish a load of 2 minute tasks. So yeah.
So I do the opposite. So I make a list of my tasks, and then I separate as what needs to be done urgently, what can be done later. But I start with the hardest one first. So the hardest one, the lengthiest one, or the most difficult one, I start that first, only because I get worried that I may not have enough time at the end of the day, or after I do these menial quick tasks, that I'll get around to doing it. So for me, I've got this thing where like, if I've done like 5 emails, I'll be like, yeah, do you know what, I've done enough for the day. So I'll start with the most difficult one, get that out of the way. So now I know, everything else I can do at a lot slower pace. I've got the main bulk of the day done.
And how do you tackle that big, challenging, difficult task?
So, which reminds me, so every big task, so I'm talking tasks that take a few hours, that are complex, so I do chunking, and I learned this from like an entrepreneurial type of thing. It's basically getting a big task and breaking it down into very small components that can be done in 15 to 20 minutes. So that's what the process of chunking is. So if I know, let's say, I need to go for a meeting, or I need to write up a business plan. So that is a good few hours worth of work. What I will do is I'll break that apart. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to spend 15-20 minutes on the first section, 15-20 minutes talking about this, 15-20 minutes talking about the product, 15-20 minutes talking about funding and finance. So that business plan, which is one big task and which is overwhelming and daunting, and you're like, oh my days, how am I going to ever start? It's going to take forever. Now I know, come tomorrow morning, I'm going to spend at least 15-20 minutes just getting the introduction, and that's the tick. And then I'll do the next tick, and that means the first 2-3-4 hours of the day I've completed my first draft of a business plan. So it's chunking, making a big task and breaking it down into smaller tasks that are more easily achievable. So it also means you get started. So I think a big problem with procrastination is we get overwhelmed and we never get started. It's that concept of never starting that.
Absolutely.
It's a cycle, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I do it.
Okay. Again, very similar to how I do it. I call it the blocked study system. So if I apply it to revision in medicine, because, so for example, we know our exam is in June, let's say June the 1st, and we're in February. I would plan weekly which subjects I'm going to do, and I break medicine down completely. I would do so cardiology in week 1, I'd break it down to arrhythmias, this, that and the other. Okay, break it down to endocrinology, this, that and the other, hematology, this, that and the other. And having that timeline also gives you two things. Not only does it allow you to get started because you've got something small that you can digest to get started on, but it also gives you that self-confidence that if I stick to it, I know I would have covered all of medicine by that date.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's also, for me, it's an anxiety reliever, because what I find is, for example, if people are talking about a certain topic about hematology whilst I'm on cardiology and I don't know a lot, I'm okay with it because I know I'm going to revise that next week.
I see.
Otherwise I become really anxious. Why don't I know that? So that's the block study system. Again, if we apply it to essays, I always break it down. So I've got a week to do an essay. Day 1 spent on just research. Day 2 spent on introduction, methods, results, conclusions, all of that. Day 4 and 5 refining it all.
I agree.
Right? So the block study system.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty much saying the same thing, but calling it different things. Just breaking down a big task into smaller, more manageable tasks. And I think an important thing is identifying when you're most effective, when do you work best. And I know for sure you're someone that's an early bird. You work very well in the morning, whereas for me, I'm what you call a night owl. So I work really well at night. So I'm groggy. I can never really work that well in the morning, but I'm most productive. So I think that's what it is. I'm most productive at night. So you will probably wake up super early, and I love sleep, but I know so the time I'll miss in the morning I'll make up for at night. That's when I'm most active. and most productive.
So yeah, completely agree with that. I find that I've got my maximum sort of brain power, if you can say, in the morning. So throughout medical school, I woke up 8 a.m., 7 a.m. and essentially got started and did my bulk of revision, bulk of knowledge gaining, storing, whatever you want to call it, in the early hours of the day. And the late hours of the day, I saw it more as a time to test my knowledge, because I couldn't take as much in, so I sat more exam questions in the evening. Recently, in fact, I tried what they call the 5 a.m. Club.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've read too many books, watched too many videos and podcasts where all of these entrepreneurs and great successful people wake up at 5 a.m. and do it. And it is amazing if you can stick to it. It is amazing.
I've never done it, so
even my wife was like, why are you waking up at 5 a.m.? What's wrong with you? Just reading all these books and listening to them. But so waking up at 5 a.m., get my prayers and everything out the way, and then sort of kicking on with my task. When I joined the 5 a.m. club, I say it like it's an actual thing. When I joined, I cooked myself proper breakfast. I would have proper salmon bagels.
That's changed, bro. I remember when me and Amz were in Margate, I had to cook for him.
He cooked for me, and he cooked. Don't say cook. He fried some fish fingers.
Bro, I fed you. As long as edible food went into your mouth and
cooked.
was digested, I fed you. Yeah, listen.
All right, cool. But yeah, so I managed to cook. I managed to then have a proper good hearty breakfast. And then I always do my little quick searches through the phone, whatever I want to do. And then I get started on my work. And I found that by 10 a.m., before anyone's woken up in the house, I finished like a large amount of my daily tasks. The only problem I had was that it would hit 5 p.m. and I'd be
out. But it makes sense if you're waking up at 5.
I'd be out cold. So I don't really know if is it boosting my productivity, or is it that everything's getting done quicker, sooner in the day, and then I've got the end. So
would you wake up 5 a.m. and then go to work doing your bits?
Yeah. So wake up 5 a.m. and then do all stuff, go to work, come back. And then the thing is, I'm shattered, so it's hard to get in the gym those days. But I still managed to get in the gym. But then what happened? So on days off as well, it's the same routine. I find it's even more efficient because I'll get all of my tasks done by 3, and that includes gym. So it's just like I'm left with the day, and it's just like...
Yeah, so I think you get more of the day. I don't know what to think of it. I love sleep too much. And one of my mates, I remember, he used to send me and Akil 5 a.m. text, and he knows who he is, and he sent these quotes of like, seize the day, today's the day, these quotes, because he's been part of the 5 a.m. club. I think he's back to the 11 a.m. club now. So
11 a.m. club.
So for me, I just thought, wake up as late as possible to get into work on time, and then do your work after work or in the evening. But I think it's important to find out what works for you. But I think, like you said, a lot of successful people are part of this 5 a.m. club. It's not necessarily 5 a.m. I think it's the one that said, but waking up super early in the morning.
Yeah. I think it's more about routine. You know what? It's not about time. It's about waking up with that energetic mindset, getting yourself fed well, being motivated. All of those.
Do you think it's that? So they've associated that 5 a.m. time where like, I'm going to wake up and I need to seize the moment I need. Yeah. So anyone that wakes up 5 a.m. has to be on point, have a good breakfast, get cracking. So naturally, by waking up 5 a.m., you kind of smash out what you need to do.
You're already motivated.
You're already motivated because you woke up at 5 a.m.
Exactly.
Whereas someone that wakes up at 9 a.m., they're like, do you know what, I'm going to go work and do it. So maybe it is that. So maybe the 5 a.m. thing is more of a mindset, and it gears you up to being more productive than the actual 5 o'clock in the morning. But you never know.
But I would disagree with it being that it's the successful route, because it's about how you work. If some people genuinely have their productive hours in the late evenings of the day, and if that's fine, that's how you work. And I think everyone's become fixated on, I need to join what the masses of people are doing. No, it's about what you're doing.
So we kind of talked about the 5 a.m. club, but you mentioned something I wanted to mention it before we forget. You said that you wake up and you go on your phone and you scroll through it. I think a key thing to help productivity and procrastination is mobile phones and social media. It's one of the biggest distractors ever. So on Instagram, I checked, you can see how long you spend on it, and I spend like 45 minutes per day on Instagram, right? I don't know if that's a lot or not. So one tip I would say is things that distract you, mobile phones particularly, put it away, put it aside, put it in a whole different room, lock it. I'm sure there's lots of different software and apps where it kind of blocks it for an hour where you can't access anything. Even on a computer, let's say you need a computer to revise, you're doing lectures online, and you're someone that goes onto YouTube, and YouTube is like crazy because one video leads to another, to another. So I'm sure there are apps where you can upload it and it blocks the time, but remove all distractors. If it's music, headphones, phones, whatever, remove it. And one thing is find the best comfortable environment for you. For me, it was like, remember you used to study in silent study in Newhounds. That was good. You used to be proper productive, and I could never ever revise. I'll be the same hours as you, but man, my level of retention concentration was so poor. I'll be on my phone, I'll be wandering around, whatever, and I always say, bro, I'll go home and catch up. Like, find the environment you revise. Just because everyone does really well in the library doesn't mean you need to revise well in the library. For me, it was at home, in my own comfort, on my own desk. That's when I revised and studied best. So identify where you study best. Coffee, in a coffee shop, in your home. If you get distracted at home, is it university? If it's not in university, is it, wherever. Find that. Find the environment, I think, is the way to say it, to be fair.
That is the best for you, yeah. Just to add on that now, so what I do is, the way you also resist and get over that necessitation to check Instagram, watch YouTube videos, watch a TV series or whatever, is to actually schedule that in as well. So I've got the concept of what I call the buffer concept within my plan. So which is, a task will take me 2 hours to do, but I'll schedule it that it will take me 3 to 4 hours. Why? Because I've scheduled in breaks and I've scheduled in my procrastination. So for example, you talked about the chunking system. Now each chunk should be flanked by some procrastination.
I agree. That's
you can check your social media, you can do this. It's time to just sort of de-stress, get away, and then come back fresh into the sort of task or the topic or whatever you were studying or doing. So I actually schedule my procrastination. So for example, before even starting work, sometimes I just say I've actually put in that I will watch a motivational video or whatever, listen to a podcast before I start my work. And I enjoy that. And it gets me even further motivated. It's like I've gotten that out of the way. Now I'm really motivated to kick on with the task.
I think it's good at it because it's you acknowledging and understanding that we as humans will naturally procrastinate. So why don't we make the best out of a situation? So if you know that, in 15 minutes I am allowed, I've given myself a free pass to be on Instagram for 5-10 minutes, then you'll be like, let me smash it out, do it, smash it out, do it. Rather than having no structure, no timetable, then I feel tired, let me procrastinate. I think engineering procrastination or engineering breaks is good. And I remember when we were in Margate, I used to do a bunch of lectures. I used to do a certain number of past med questions, and then I'd watch one episode of my series, or I'd watch one movie, and that would be my reward. Or be like, I love TV series, I binge on them a lot, so I'd be like, let me smash out this and do it. And I need the quicker and the better I did those questions, then I won't feel guilty watching that TV series.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so reward that. A lot of people actually say that's a good way of increasing productivity, is if you say, once I've completed this task, I have a reward on whether it's for you it was your shows, or whether it's eating a certain meal or going out or whatever. Is, if I finish this task, I deserve this reward, and that reward is because you deserve it. That's
and with this task, just saying that, because you just like I remember seeing people that used to watch TV shows or they used to listen to music or whatever at the same time. So obviously some people, they work better with listening to music, and I think we mentioned it, and you mentioned it, and I remember what you said. He's like, this concept of multitasking. So what was it, 2% or something?
Yeah, only 2% of the population can actually multitask.
So I'm not a big believer in multitasking. Multitasking gives you this false sense of accomplishment, this false sense of belief, I'm doing loads of different things, where in fact, if you let's say you multitask with 3 different things, you're emailing, you're calling, and you're writing a letter. I think if you were to do those one at a time, you'll be much quicker and more efficiently finish those 3 tasks one by one
with higher quality
than to do all 3 at the same time. So multitasking, I think, is this myth, or multitasking is this false sense of belief that I have accomplished a lot in a short period of time, when in actual fact, if you were to do one task at a time, you probably do it quicker, more efficiently, and of a higher standard and quality.
Yeah.
So don't fool yourself into thinking, oh my days, I'm really good at multitasking, I've done 10 different things. And then when you come back to you realize, oh, do you know what? No.
Exactly.
So multitasking is a pet peeve of mine. Like, you know, and everyone's like, I'm really good at multitasking.
No way, man.
You know, unless, you know, it's a necessity and you have to do a few things at the same time, do not multitask if you have the option not to.
Yeah, exactly. One by one and just knock him out the park. That's it that I can think of in terms of how to increase productivity.
I think the main thing is really finding out what works for you, making big tasks into smaller tasks, getting rid of distractions, understanding that we are human, we do procrastinate, and kind of working around that. So engineering breaks, or doing it where you reward yourself, and you know, and timetable and structure. I think, you know, this procrastination it's a mindset as well.
Exactly. And allow yourself to procrastinate. It's what allows your mind to get away, refresh, come back, get away, refresh, come
I read
back.
that, and like, you know, I was looking into procrastination because sometimes you do it, and they said never punish yourself for procrastinating.
Exactly.
Because people punish themselves for like, oh, I always procrastinate. And now, okay, this might be controversial, but I think it's quite cool, or it's an Instagram story to say to people, I'm procrastinating. Hey, look at me, I'm procrastinating. You know, with a picture of a video or a story or whatever, a day or two before exam is like, oh, procrastinating. I think it's become of a trend, or something cool to do. I don't know if I'm right or not. Do you know what I mean?
It's not.
It's cool. Like, why do you need to snap that you're procrastinating, innit? I get you do it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just... Let us know in the comments below.
Let us know what you think
of people that snap that they are procrastinating.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't really buy it. I don't really think it's cool at all. Anyways, going back. So I think we've covered how to increase productivity. Yeah. We've advised on procrastination and our views on it, and I think we should finish off with the quote we just discussed before recording this episode, and I think it's so true, and it really inspired me as well. So it said that people will really overestimate how much they can do in one day. They think they're going to reply to every single email, fill out every single logbook, contact whatever they need to contact, all authorities, learn every single topic in hematology in one day, but then will underestimate how much they can do in a year, or in that week, or in that month, right? And what that means is that you should be balancing it out and have a long-term perspective, rather than this one day sort of really hit it hard and then completely fail at everything. And I think that's a very important quote to take away for all of our viewers.
Say the quote again.
So the actual quote is, people overestimate how much they can do in a day, but they underestimate how much they can do in a year. But just obviously apply that to months and weeks.
I think that's a nice way to kind of end today's episode. Once again, we'll leave a description below, and I'll timestamp the different sections we talked about and we hope that it kind of inspires you, motivates you, and gives you a bit more guidance on how to be more effective and productive. And more so, everyone procrastinates. Don't beat yourself about it. Don't punish yourself. It's natural. Just find ways to be better at doing what you need to do. But thank you ever so much for all the support. Make sure you comment, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
And just to finish quickly, I liked your term, engineer procrastination. That's the phrase.